Hey, welcome back to Pokecast on a Wednesday night. Couple of things to get to here on the Lake 92.9 and from Mr. Bill's. Don't forget the Mr. Bill's watch party for the Nichols game on Saturday at 3 p.m. will be right here. Also, for the first basketball game, since we will not have a show next week, as the basketball has hoops and hops and Crying Eagle on the same time, the watch party there will be at 5 o'clock. On Monday night, November 4th, just after the women's game, which starts at 11 o'clock here. It's that game where all the little kids show up and blow out my eardrums for 4 days. Always an exciting time. Basketball season right around the corner. Couple of things. The Cowboy Club bus is still possible for the Northwestern State game. Look at the Cowboy Club to find out. Also, they're booking basketball trips as well. So... And don't forget, no show next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks on the eve of basketball season. All right, Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right, lots of things to get to.
Gary, how are you?
I'm always okay. Melancholy. I'm melancholy.
Yeah.
You know that. I'm a curmudgeon old guy, people say. All right, so a lot of things to talk to. Gary Goff is our guest on Pokecast. First question is, a lot of people have asked me since I wrote it, there is a possible playoff path. You don't talk about it that much, but it is there.
I mean, hey, we still have a lot of games left, and we got a tough schedule ahead of us. But if we were to take care of our business, absolutely. So, hey, it's a big challenge this week. We're going down playing Nichols, who is the defending conference champs. But I'm excited about that opportunity. I'm excited about the rest of the schedule. But there is a possibility.
Well, you got to talk possibilities until it's over with.
Sure, you do.
and you do believe at least 2 conference teams will get in.
I do.
You said Monday you also expected some conference chaos.
I do. I believe in both those. I think there's some really good teams out there this year. Our conference has won a lot of games outside of our conference, and there's still a lot of football to be played. I mean, these next 5 weeks, there's going to be a lot of tough matches throughout our conference. So there's a lot of things that can change.
How much is it not only winning those games, but actually going out and playing these games? It's been a couple years now. You're starting to play these games more so than you did before.
Yeah, I think that even the players, we've been everywhere now. We know what kind of expect when we get there. It's not a new experience when we're walking into that stadium or into that town. And this trip, this weekend, there'll be a lot of guys that'll be there first time. But still, we've been there. We've experienced it. We've got a lot of film on everybody in our conference now, basically 2 years worth, even some of the new staffs, right? So, it's obviously, I think, a really good conference. You got to play sound football, and we're going to have to do that down the stretch if we want to get to where we want to be. But it is very, very possible, and especially if we can play like we're capable of playing. That's what excites us coaches right now.
The interesting thing is we talked about this a month ago. Now you're at the end of it, the 4 games on the road. How have you come through it health-wise, and how are you feeling about it? And are you kind of glad it'll be over?
I'm very glad it'll be over. I mean, I don't know what a home game is anymore, No, we are starting to get healthy. We really are. We're getting the bulk of the guys back that's been out. There was a couple of season-ending injuries, but we're a lot healthier than what we were 2 weeks ago. That's for sure. So that's encouraging. And then it's this month has been a long month. That's for sure. And it's nice to look forward to a home game here in a couple weeks, and on top of that, it being homecoming. But we got business to take care of this weekend first, and we got to try to finish this long road tour on a high note.
Yeah, this is a big game.
It is.
Nichols, defending champs, picked for either 1 or 2.
Yep.
Depending on which one you looked at. I want to take you back real quick, though, to last weekend and Incarnate Word. They had come off a 55-10 game. Now, it's hard to compare scores, but yours was 30-17. And a strange game in that you actually outgained them per play.
Yeah.
But they had 91 plays.
Right.
They went for it on 4th down 6 times, converted all 6. Was that the biggest difference? Was they able to stay on the field?
Oh, absolutely. I think it just kind of wore down our defense. And, there was out there 91 plays. That's a lot of snaps, I thought Micah Davey played a really good football game. We've seen him play great football games, but that's his first game back in over a month, and him going out there and taking that many snaps kind of has its toll on you. But I think it was their conversions and our offensive lack of conversions. And you can't play football that way. It's got to be a complementary sport, and where all 3 phases of the game help each other out, and we did not do a good job at that. And they made their plays and won their one-on-one matchups, and we did not win our one-on-one matchups.
Really, they only really took control for only about a 6-minute period, and that was the start of the second half.
Yeah.
They kind of hit you right there. What did you see them do differently? Obviously, they came out with the punt, with the kickoff play, and that. But did you feel that in the locker room, or?
Well, no. But we had two things. One, they had the long kickoff return to start the second half. We talk about dominating the 8. And that's the last 4 minutes first half, first 4 minutes of the second half, and they dominated that long kickoff, got it out past the 50, short into the field with a score. And then they had that kickoff where they line drived it and hit us, and they stole that possession right there. So, special teams, offense, and defense, we just weren't on the same page and ended up hurting each other basically right there. And that's something we talked about this week with them. We got to execute better. You're not going to go in and play a top-ranked team like that at their place. You're not going to get any calls. You got to play clean football, and you got to go steal that win, and we didn't.
You're not going to get any calls for sure. There's a couple of times I actually tweeted out that there was some holding on some touchdowns, but
I can't talk about that stuff anymore. So
I know.
You got your opinion. You're right.
Okay. All right. One of the things was, and we talked about this, is you seem to be close. The Levi play, Jamal Levi play. He beats his guy. There's nobody in front of him, and he steps out of bounds. That's a touchdown to go up 14-10.
Yeah.
Things like that are almost – they seem to just come at the bad time for you.
I mean, I really believe we're right there. We're standing at the door, and we got to take the next step. We got to walk through that door. But, there was a lot of things, and again, we did not play our best game. But there's a lot of things like that, a ball bouncing this way or that way, and you've got the lead right there. And even at the end, when we're driving, we're down 2 scores, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, we're going to get points on the board here. We're going to be down by 6. And we're going to still have a shot at the very end. And, obviously didn't transpire that way. But I'm still very, very encouraged by these young men. They're battling their tails off. We've played a lot of different people in some areas due to injuries. That's the time of the year it is, right? And I think they understand that we're right on the brinks of being something special. And it's been a long season. It's been a long month of us being on the road. But, we got to kind of take that head on, and it's just been the hand we've been dealt with, and we got to understand there's nothing to do with it besides hit it head on and be better up because of it. And I feel like we're right there. We're ready for that next step, and I'm pushing them. I'm trying to push them through that door.
Okay, 91 snaps. Do you have to protect your defense this week during practices a little bit, or how have you gone about it?
No, I mean they've been pretty good, to be honest. And again, remember we kind of changed our routine a little bit, So we don't have anything on Sundays. We only lift and meet on Monday, so they're not on the field beating each other on Monday. So they get basically that 2 days off right there. But I felt like they've been flying around and been pretty fresh considering the time of year it is. But so I'm not too concerned about that. Now we got to understand what we're up against this week. Nichols loves to run the ball. They are going to try to take the clock from us, pound the ball. They got the number 2 rush defense in the country. So, we've got our challenge. We got to get our defense off the field, and we got to sustain drives offensively.
Yeah, that's one of the things that didn't happen last week that you wanted to have happen was you didn't stretch the field. Now, some of that, it's kind of a weird dynamic because you had to play Camden, 6-killer. Clifton wasn't back yet. That changes kind of the dynamic of the team. Is they're allowed, they don't have to have that one guy dedicated to Clifton.
Yeah, there's that, and then obviously he's still Cliff's strength is he can extend plays.
Yeah.
Right, and Cliff, and 6 can too. The difference is nobody can tackle Cliff, and 6 gets what he gets, and we're trying to coach him. Hey, get down, don't take those shots.
And Clifton is much more dynamic and more aggressive than that because he's been around.
Well, he's more exactly. He's more experienced.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So he knows when to go. Question right now.
Yeah, all right, Coach. I know you talked about their defense, their rushing defense especially, but it seems like lately you've gotten the tight end involved a little bit more than the first few games. In fact, going over some stuff earlier today, he's ranked 6th in the league in receptions, and 6 of the 8 catches have come in the last 4 games. Not to give any game plan away or anything, but it looked like you're looking at him a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, with the tight ends and the running backs both, I think quarterbacks at every level have to understand sometimes that's your crutch. You don't have your read downfield. You got to know where your running back or tight end is. So I think, the quarterbacks have done a good job of understanding, hey, here's the matchup or here's my check down, and I know where he's going to be. So I think some of it's just coming them getting a little bit more familiar with the offense, and also, hey, when you throw the ball to somebody like Logan or Tyrone and they make a play, in the back of your mind, you want to give them the ball again,
And there's also Jamichael Carter had a touchdown catch, another big play. He's kind of stepped up this year a little bit more. He's only a sophomore still, but will we also see? Is it time for Micah Perez?
Makai, I sure hope
Makai
so.
Perez?
We're getting close. He has practiced for the last 3 weeks. He's still knocking the rust off, but
Is he pushing you every week?
yeah, he's pushing. But you still got to know everything, right?
Yeah,
It's not that easy. He has, he didn't go through spring or anything, right? And the quarterbacks don't have really any rapport with him. They've really never thrown with him. So yeah, I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable every day at practice. But we're going to be smart with that and take our time and not push something that's unnecessary.
Okay, let's go to the big question. Who's going to play quarterback this week?
Yeah, hey, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's progressing, and I'm kind of waiting on the complete green light right there. But I can tell you, both of them are being prepared.
He was a game time decision last week.
Yeah.
You expect it to be the same thing?
I'm hoping it's a couple days prior to that, to be honest with you. But no, we've got both of them in the game plan, and both been taking reps, and so I'm pretty comfortable right now with if he's ready, he's ready. If he's not, Six is ready.
What have you seen from Six the last couple of weeks that kind of progressed him? We talked about the tight end. That's kind of a comfort zone when you're a little bit more in the groove of an offense.
Yeah, Six. I want Six to kind of take that next step himself too. Like I think he's a talent. He's a confident young man, but at that position, I need him to kind of step into, being that leader out there on the field, encouraging the guys around him, and not saying he doesn't do that, but I want to see him be more vocal with those guys, and. He's very capable. He's a very emotional guy himself in a good way, and I think he's a fierce competitor, but he's young. He hasn't played many games at this level, and every rep he's going to continue and improve. I really believe that. He played a really good game last week. I wouldn't say it's anything that a lot of people would notice. It wasn't just off the charts great or anything, but I think he did some really good things, and there was a lot of plays that weren't his fault, whether it was a drop or whether it was a breakdown in protection. But he's going to learn from that. The trigger man's the one with the ball in his hands, and he is able to get rid of it really fast to help with those things. But I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing from him, and I think the guy's going to have a bright future.
Before we get into Nichols in the next segment, I want to ask you this about recruiting when you had the break. How did recruiting go? How were you able to see some people? And are you getting a different response this year than the last couple of years?
Well, we're not able to go into the schools or anything yet, so you're not really having long conversations with coaches. But it was fun to get back on the sidelines and get to some of the schools in the area because again we've been gone. Usually we do that on some Fridays, when we got home games. We've been gone so long, and then we're only allowed to go to one game. So if we go to the Barb Sulphur game, we can't go to either one of those schools again until December for true evaluation. So we're having conversations with coaches, but we're also, we've got our boards there. We're also moving slowly. I've said this in the past, there's no telling, who's going to be on the roster, who's not going to be on the roster. Do you need a young guy? Do you have to get an older guy if an older guy left? There's so much into this, and the last thing I want to do is go out there and throw out a ton of offers and then have to backtrack to that and say, hey, Coach, I know we offered him, but now we've decided to go with an older guy and a transfer at that position. I think that's bad business. And we've been telling coaches this, hey, we're going to shoot you straight. Love this kid. He's on our board. We're going to see if we're going to take a high school kid in this area or if we're going to take a transfer.
Is that the weirdest difference is you see guys go, you almost say, hey, we got to get a junior just left. We got to get a junior back.
Well, it's hard to replace a junior or an upcoming senior with a freshman, you know, and we found ourselves at that juncture, 2 seasons ago. We were just one of the youngest teams in the country, and you unfortunately, you can't do that, So, yeah, if you're losing some older guys, you got to replace them with some older guys.
When we come back on Pokecast, we'll talk off about the Nichols game and what his thoughts are on how to beat Nichols after this on Pokecast. We're back at Mr. Bill's and on 92.9 The Lake. You have any questions for Coach Gary Goff? Come on up and ask him. I have a question from the internet, but right now we got a question from the floor.
Speaking as a fan, which is what we are, and understanding that 99% of us have never coached it down, and I know as coaches, you don't like to listen to outside noise, okay, but I'll be an unofficial representative of outside noise for fans, okay? During a game, when you sense a loss of momentum, when you sense your players are not playing as well as they can, mentally, that converts to physical play. What do you do to get their attention? Because you're worried about X's and O's, and all your coaches are, to get their attention and say, hey, if you don't get your mind right and you don't put out 140%, then you ain't got a loose dog's chance on the I-10 bridge of getting off the bridge. So how do you do that during a game when the battle's going on?
Yeah, obviously that's a challenge, right? But I think just having those conversations, and you're going to be in the heat of battle, but when they come off on the bench, and you've got to talk to them and point some of those things out, like, hey, you're not giving the best effort right now as a group, and hey, we're gonna try this right here and get a jump start here, and sometimes offensively that might be a shot play. Sometimes defensively it might be, all right, hey, we need to spark these guys. Hey, let's send the pressure we hadn't all game yet. Or it could be something on special teams. But I think it's pointing that out to them. I think sometimes as an athlete you kind of get lost in the game at times when things aren't going your way, and you start thinking, okay, well, we're not playing very well, rather than just focusing on, hey, let's keep attacking. Don't worry about it. The last play the next play, just keep attacking. But we have a good bit of those conversations, and sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, but these young adults, sometimes they want it to be easy, and I keep having to remind them, nobody's giving you anything. Even in life, nobody's going to give you a thing, so you got to continue lining up and attacking. But that right there lies the challenge in coaching, right?
Yeah, very good.
What was that,
loose
dog's chance on the I-10 bridge of getting off?
A loose dog's chance on the I-10 bridge. He ain't got very good chance.
No, I guess not, but
not with these drivers.
Never heard that analogy. I like it. I'm going to try to use that. Just for you. Okay, so I do have a question from the internet. How is Micah Davey and Bugsy Savella feeling after playing last week, coming off injury?
Yeah, good. I think they both would tell you that they felt a little rusty, wasn't necessarily their best game. Now, one had 10 tackles, the other had 9. That's pretty good. But we've seen one of them get 20 tackles or more in a game. Then we've seen the other one get about 15 or more in a game. So, those two are they're big team guys. They're really good players, obviously, but they're also their own worst critic at times. So I think if Mike was sitting here right now, he'd kind of be a little bashful, and I didn't play my best. But I thought they both did very well, to be honest. And I think Bugsy will continue getting more and more comfortable playing with that club. Yeah,
that was an interesting look.
Yeah, I know y'all. I guess y'all showed it last week, right? He was like, Coach, they had me show it, and of course we had it wrapped up about like this during the game.
Yeah, I saw. I was like, people were asking me, could he use that?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to use that. Yes. All right, I asked about them because the defense looked like it was playing downhill more and more at the line.
Yeah,
that's going to be needed this week because this is Colin Guggenheim. This is power football. This is old school football. Completely different team than what you just saw.
Yeah.
Do you like more this kind of game, or is this more kind of a game that's fit for your team? Or
I wish I knew the answer to that. To be honest, I mean, I like playing a pass-happy team. They give us more opportunities for turnovers. But then at the same time, the danger in playing a team that's going to just try to power the football is they kind of lull you to sleep. Run, play action or a trick play out of the backfield. And Nichols has been good at that over the last several years. They've hit us the last 2 years on, I don't want to say trickery, but different combinations of route concepts out of the backfield when we're focused on stopping the run. So we gotta play disciplined football. Our eyes got to be in the right spot, and that's something I know Coach Peck and Coach Brown have spent a lot of time this week talking to him about. Hey, we know this run's coming, but make sure you don't fall asleep back here on the backside.
Yeah, on the backside. And this is obviously a game of got to get stops early and downs to make them force them into something they're uncomfortable with.
Absolutely. I think their quarterback's a solid player. He's a competitor too, but their MO is going to be to try to power the football. So if we can get stops early and we can get points on the board early, you want to try to kind of flip the tide a little bit and put them behind the gun and where they got to throw the ball.
And that's what Incarnate Word did. They put them behind. They put them into a situation they weren't used to.
Hey, 4 turnovers and 2 of those were defensive scores. Yeah, that's a game changer.
And then they can't come back on that.
Right.
They're pretty. What do you do on offense, because they don't give up many yards. They didn't give up any yards last week.
Yeah, they're one of the top rush defenses in the country for a reason. Even you watch the LSU game, they did a really good job handling LSU for the most part. So they're solid, but it's going to be a grind out game. We're going to have to, we got to live in those trenches too, and we got some game plan that we think could give them challenges here and there, and we got some. I'm not going to give you my game plan right now, but we got some things too up our sleeve. But it's going to come down to fundamental football, and it's about blocking and tackling. And we cannot give a team like this extra possessions. And if you do, they're going to eat up that clock. And they've been very successful for the most part on that all season long. There's been a few teams that have hurt them in different areas, but we got to make sure that we are a pretty balanced attack, and we got to end drives. We cannot live in the third and long, and that's been our problem the last 2 games. It's been a lot of third and longs, and we cannot do that.
And that's doing something first and second down.
Absolutely, you got to have
especially
positive
first down.
Got to have positive plays on first and second down. Everybody can live in the third and medium to third and short, but you got 7 or 8, or more third and longs. That's hard to sustain, and I tell you, they're a pretty salty defense to begin with, but let them get you in a third and long, and they are pretty dynamic in some of their pressures and their looks. They like to mug everybody up, and they change the coverage. So, we got to stay out of that.
Yeah, they had a kid get 3 sacks last week,
Yeah.
and once they got them behind, they just went after them.
They pressure them almost every play.
And they're an interesting, because that is Tim Rebo.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's kind of what he built. He also builds a lot of Louisiana kids.
He
I think
does.
it's 93 kids this year. Doesn't hit the portal that hard.
He does. Well, he's been there 9 years, right? He was there prior to the portal. So he's able to get those pipelines in all those high schools, and he's not in the portal heavy right now. He didn't have to be. He's on pace to have 25, 30 seniors in every single class, and that's where you want to live. And then you can dabble in the portal here and there if there's a player that's going to make you better. But I tell you, his team's a tough-nosed team, and it's because those guys have been with him for 4 years.
So how much, not to get a number of, but how much short passing does this take up? Because you can almost use the short pass as an extension of the run.
You can, but what happens if you're not able to stretch a defense, they can really clamp down on you. You're right, and they got the box loaded. They got their DBs on top of you. There's not a whole lot of short game. So I think you got to have a pretty good balance. You got to connect on some of those shots downfield to get them backed up. And as an early coordinator with Mummy and Leach, Howard would sit there and say, "Hey, I don't care what they're doing on defense. I want 4 deep shots a quarter." And we're like, Coach, we're not. He goes, "I don't care. If you're throwing the ball deep, even if you don't connect, and showing that defense coordinator, we're going to continue attacking downfield, and it's going to keep them off of us a little bit." So, I do believe in a little bit of philosophy, but I also like to make sure we got a pretty even passing attack, and we're not just launching the ball deep every play because your conversion rate on that's not very high.
But you have to connect on some of them.
You absolutely do.
That you were close. It seems you said you had a lot of shots last week that you took and looked at but didn't connect on.
Yeah, and we didn't get 2 of them off. We just had a breakdown in protection right there. We connected on the one, and then we just overthrew the other one. But no, we kind of had a really good idea of where Incarnate Word was going to be on every snap, and everybody knows that. They don't do a whole lot, but when you dial up your shots, you got to connect on them, and you got to at least connect on half of them. That way it puts them behind the chains.
How much of a different offense are you with Clifton and Camden?
There's some plays that I think Cliff is really, really good at, and he's so big and strong. He's hard for one guy to bring down. We put him in that situation a little bit more than we would Six. Six is every bit as athletic as Cliff, He can run. He can extend plays. He doesn't have about 35 pounds that Cliff has, you know. So there are some calls that that we protect 6 on as far as those. But as far as the passing game, there's really not any difference in the two. But for downhill quarterback run, there's significant difference.
Is it harder to run against them or stop their run?
Oh, jeez. I definitely can answer that after the game. You know, no, I like our game plans right now. You know, I don't think there's any secret about what they want to do on either side. They're really good at stopping the run, and they're really good at running the football. You know, so we got to match that. We got to be able to stop their or at least hold them. Their run game down a little bit, and then we got to be able to move the chains on offense. But they're a solid football team. There's a reason why they won the conference a year ago, and they're not a young, inexperienced team at all. They're a veteran team again. They got one of the best all-time running backs in the conference that's still toting the rock for them. And then their quarterback's a really good game manager that can hurt you. He can make the throws, and he can run the ball himself.
They're also a little desperate. They're 1-1 as well. They're 1-1 league. You're 1-2. This is a big game for them too.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's in conference play now. It's a big game for everybody every weekend right now. And I don't want to say it's do or die time, but there's going to be a lot of things that can happen over the next 4 to 5 weeks that is going to, pretty much, solidify who your 1 and 2 teams are. And I think there's some teams that have had some tough losses that are very capable of upsetting the number 1 team in the conference, and vice versa. I mean, we've seen that firsthand, that on any given Saturday, somebody can be beat in this conference.
Yeah. Have you been surprised by the conference at all?
Yeah, there's been a few teams that have kind of surprised me a little bit. I think I really think Stephen F. is one of the best defenses we've seen up to this point. I really do.
That's a tough loss they got last
that
week.
Is. I think
last play of the game.
Southeastern right now, I think is. Hey, they're believing. They're playing right now. So and that's what I mean. There's still a lot of games to be played, and you don't know what could happen.
Yeah, that game this week is Incarnate Word going to Southeastern.
Yeah,
I believe so. That's
well, you got Nichols, who ran through the conference last year.
Yeah.
They're capable of winning every single game. So there's a lot of things moving parts these last 4 to 5 weeks. We'll learn a lot about where we stand, and I think there's going to be some upsets down the stretch.
So this week you got. I think it was a Monday. You got 2 kids named to the Phil Steele mid-season All-American team. One is the long snapper.
Yeah.
He comes from SMU. How do you judge a long snapper, and how does that guy get? Because that.
Well, how you
him?
judge him? You put him on the clock. You see, hey, can he snap or not? And Giovanni is awesome. Like he's not only a really good player. I mean, he's a great long snapper. He's a fantastic person. And I mean this. I mean, he's only the long snapper, right? But this young man holds people accountable in the right way. He's an adult. He knows how to talk to teammates. He knows how to call them out the right way and not come off as a jerk or a know-it-all. He cares. I mean, I love that young man to death. He is a modeled citizen and is going to have a very bright future. I mean, he's got a lot of people from all over that just love him, and I think he's exactly what you want an academic All-American to be. He's a very talented player, but he takes care of everything off the field as well.
Yeah, I had a friend who was in college that actually was a long snapper. Didn't do anything but long snap, named Mike Morris. Ended up playing, I think, 20 years in the NFL. And was with the Vikings for a while and that. And I said, do you do anything else? He goes, no, I just long snap.
What a life, right?
He goes, and now and that's when the rules change. He goes, now they can't hit me.
Yeah.
They can't jump over me. I don't get touched. I get a free shot at the guy running downfield. He goes, it's a great life. so he can do some things. Tell me a little bit about Lee. The kid that came from St. Thomas.
Yeah, Joseph. Yeah, another great young man. I mean, he doesn't say boo hardly. He's
also on the 14.
Yep. And he's always got a smile on his face, and obviously takes care of his academics as well. And he's a great player for us on the field. I don't know if I've ever had a team where I've had 2 academic, All-Americans like that, but I think it's pretty special, and both of them have deserved it, But Leak is. We need Leak to continue playing like he has been and finish the season out strong. But what a great pickup for us, a grad transfer.
Last week.
Yeah, a grad transfer that we hit a home run on. Great person and a great player.
Yeah, he's been kind of a surprise. With all the guys you got and all the guys you brought in, he's kind of one of the transfers that really took off.
Yeah.
Kind of under the radar, but really has played well.
Well, I joke with him all the time. I said, "You're from Minnesota." I was like, "No, coach, you know I'm from Florida, you know." And but no, he's a lot of fun to be around too. And I think he's kind of that calm one there in that secondary. You know, he's just one of the calm corners that never panics, and he's always in good position.
Yeah, and he admitted that he was a little taken aback by the cold up in Minnesota.
Oh, I bet
he
he
had
was.
to get out of the cold.
He didn't know what a parka is. I promise.
he said, I did not have enough clothes for the first winter.
Yeah.
So, and then today, your punter
Yeah.
got an award.
Here's what's funny about that. You know, Finn asked us, he goes, "I don't even know what this award is and who Jerry Rice is." And we just started dying laughing because we knew that was going to be the case. And no, Jerry Rice is not a punter or wasn't a punter. You know, he's like, okay. You know, but we explained it to him. He's like, "Oh, that's really cool. It is really cool, man."
No, it's
you know, but he's having a great season as well. But I knew when that award came out, I was like, "There's no way he knows what this is about and who that is."
no, no. When he was on the show, he was hilarious because just his story coming from Australia, and his whole kind of search for football and.
Well, we want to take him to Outback Steakhouse because he's like, "What is a blooming onion? There's no such thing." You know, it's like, "Yes, there is." Yes.
Well, he doesn't think so, but so that's another guy that came in and really kind of contributed.
Yeah, you know, he's extremely talented as well, and he continues every week to flip the field and is dynamic. And you know, last week we went against one of the most dynamic punt returners in the FCS level, and his ball placement and our coverage, you know, did a great job with that young man.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing with some of the guys you brought in, but hey, and that two of them end up being academic All-Americans.
Really cool.
So
academic still matters.
In some places it does. In some places it does. Now I don't think it does on the higher level as much though.
I don't know.
I don't even know if they know what that is.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll get into more. But Gary Goff's been our guest for the first two segments on Pokecast. Good luck at Nichols. Don't forget the watch party here from Mr. Bills Saturday at 3 o'clock. We'll be right back. We're back from Mr. Bills and 92.9 The Lake. This is Pokecast. Our third guest for segment 3 tonight is Jacqueline Clark, Director of Student Engagement and Leadership at McNeese State. We're going to talk homecoming when McNeese finally gets back after being gone for 5 weeks, a little over the month, not being seen in October. It will be homecoming,
It will
correct?
be homecoming
Next
finally.
week is
Yes.
finally.
We're so excited.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask you is this.
Yes.
Is there more excitement this year because there was no homecoming last year?
Yes, 100%. Closer. Sorry. Yes, we're so excited for the game. We didn't get to have the tailgate. We didn't get to have the game and present our homecoming court. So we're so excited this year to have a full homecoming week.
Okay, so let's just remember last year Northwestern State had the shooting tragedy, canceled their season after playing a game after the
Right.
shooting. And the first game they canceled was
It's
McNeese
ours.
here for homecoming. You didn't know about that until I believe Tuesday almost.
I think I found out 2 days before the game.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, we don't have a game. We're still going to do the parade, but that will be the last event kind of situation. It's like, oh, okay, so we're having a parade, but no game.
So you had done all the pre-promotion.
We had done everything.
And you were sit there with, okay. So let's start with, it's even going to be different this year again.
It is different
Because
this year.
the parade can't go on Halloween, which would be the
Right.
Thursday. So you're doing it on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, so we're still having a full homecoming week, but that is a difference this year that the parade will be on the Tuesday because of Halloween, and we can't have parades on Fridays because of high school football, so Tuesday
So
it
Tuesday
is.
the 29th.
Yes.
So does that change any other lineups for the week?
Not really. We're still having our traditional events. Always have the oozball on Wednesday, so that
And we're
is
gonna get
all
into
set.
oozball.
Yes, but that just gives us another day on Halloween Day to have another fun event for the students.
Okay, so what last year? What was the response from people when they didn't have homecoming, and how much more does that rev up this year? Do you think?
I think they were just so bummed because they had planned so much, especially for the student tailgate. They were so excited and they couldn't tailgate at all. So I know I have so many organizations ready. They've gotten their tents. They're ready to cook. They are ready to come out there and support and come to the game and tailgate and everything.
Are they kind of doubling down, saving last year's money, or did they just blow it anyway?
I'm sure they already blew it and they're just coming back with more.
As I would have done in college. So when does the homecoming court come out? When is it named? And how did you do it last year?
So we ended up presenting the homecoming court at the last home game. So it was senior night, and we just presented our homecoming court. But they had already been crowned king and queen last year. So this year our court is already announced, but we don't have our king and queen yet. So they are announced. They'll be on the parade and the parade, and they'll be on the big alligator float this year. So it's a big light up alligator. And then at the pep rally, we will crown our king and queen.
When is the parade? What time does it start?
It starts at 7 o'clock on Ryan Street.
And how long does it usually take?
It takes about an hour for the floats to get fully through, and we have over 100 floats. So it's a very large parade, starting with the community and starting with the organizations leading up into community floats.
All right, we have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question about the parade.
Okay.
It has really grown over the years. I think
Yes.
it's probably second to Mardi Gras parade.
Exactly.
What makes this parade so attractive for people to get into it?
I think the fact that it's such a family-friendly parade and that it brings the community to McNeese. We are the university of the city, and even people who maybe aren't alumni can still feel a part of the university and be a part of the tradition of homecoming.
How much do you get of alumni coming back? Do you hear from a lot of them?
I mean, they're always around. I know I don't particularly deal with alumni, but they're at the Alumni Grove. I know they love the block parties, so everyone's coming out to the free concerts, the block parties, so I know that they really enjoy that part.
How much have you seen this grow in the last couple of years? Obviously, the first couple of years after the hurricane to now.
Right. I feel like we've been blessed with alumni. No matter what's going on, we have great alumni who are coming and supporting. So even if it is a hurricane or COVID or anything going on, not having a game, we still have alumni supporting. I feel like we've always been really blessed with that.
When was the last time you actually got to enjoy a normal homecoming? It couldn't have been couldn't have been 2001, couldn't have been 2002, couldn't have been 2000.
2 years ago we had a Halloween. It fell on Halloween, and that was our last real nice homecoming.
I have another one. Okay,
Yes.
so I know there's so much going on for homecoming week.
A whole week of activities.
Do y'all start planning for the next year when this week's over with?
Pretty much.
Kind of get through the planning process of getting it ready.
We have a homecoming committee. I'm the lead chair of the committee, and it represents different staff members and students. We definitely want the student input on it. So we have a lot of team. We have a team of 30, and we start meeting typically right after this. We'll have a meeting just to kind of talk about how the week went, what can we fix, what can we change, and then we start meeting for the next year. So the first thing is we always try to plan a theme. Everything has to be themed. So once we figure out a theme, then we can kind of plan from there. So the committee kind of comes up with some ideas. We vote on it. We get student input on what they would like to see for the theme, and then we grow it from there.
How does the block party play into the whole week? Besides tailgating and that, the block party, how does that kind of play in? Do you see a lot of kids getting involved in that?
100%, yes. So they are always asking for concerts. They're like, Miss Jacqueline, please host a free concert. So alumni is already doing that. They're hosting free concerts every home game at weekend. So I feel like the students absolutely love it, and it just adds to the week. We are already planning a full week of activities, and it's just another awesome event throughout the whole week.
How much did basketball last year kind of change and grow it with the students?
It changed so much. The amount of students that I saw at games was exponential. The student section was packed. They loved going to. We planned our Greek week around the basketball schedule last season, so that way we could go to the championship game during Greek week, and it was a blast. They absolutely loved it.
Okay, last year you talked about, I didn't get to see it, but oozeball.
Yes.
What is oozeball?
It's mud volleyball. It's muddy volleyball. It is the best.
It seems to be a student favorite.
Yes, it is a 20-year-old plus tradition at McNeese that we have during homecoming week. It's on the Wednesday of homecoming. We have 2 courts. Students can make their own teams, and they're playing for cash money, so there's a little incentive to play, but you just have the fun of being able to dive into the mud and have a blast.
So what other events do you have? What other big events?
Yeah.
You have the one of the things you talk about is student tailgate that they missed out on. How is that different than normal weeks, homecoming? Just more involvement?
More involvement the whole week. So the whole week is scheduled. It's Pokes on the Bayou is the theme. So very Louisiana Bayou night. So we have Rowdy riding an alligator is like the logo for this year's homecoming. And so the students will start on Sunday night. Will actually be our first home game, our first homecoming activity at Urban Air. And then we have an event every single day until Saturday.
So what is it? So Sunday, it's what?
Yes, so Sunday we're at Urban Air, the new facility
Yeah.
right across the street. The students get to come and use all the facilities. We cover the charge for that as students. They pay for that in their fees, so they get to use. They have bumper cars and race cars, go-karts, and they have rock climbing. They have all kinds of cool stuff. So the students get to have a fun night of just being a kid and having a fun time at Urban Air. So that's Sunday night. Monday night is Movie on the Bayou. So we are watching, we're watching Princess and the Frog. In the quad, we'll have gumbo and beignets for the students to be able to eat, and we'll have Tiana come as a dressed-up Tiana, and she'll come and hang out with the students, and we'll watch Princess and the Frog in the quad.
And then Tuesday you got the
Parade and pep rally. So
Wednesday's Ooze Ball.
Yes, Ooze Ball. Thursday is Halloween, and we're having a Halloween headphone disco. So the students will come and wear headphones, and the music is playing through the headphones, and they can listen to 3 different DJs at once and listen to the DJs and dance around and dance in their costumes. We'll have a costume contest for the students.
So you'll be dancing with people who are hearing something else.
Yes, 100%. So you could definitely be dancing across the way, and they're listening to
That's the only way I would have any style and stay with anybody. And then Friday
we have 2 events, actually. So MPHC is our African American fraternities and sororities are hosting their stroll off that afternoon around 5 o'clock. And then our block party after that, the free concert. Rusty Matuire is our performer for that Friday. I'm very excited. And then, of course, Saturday, the tailgate and the home game.
What time can they start tailgating on Saturday?
Well, technically, my tailgate starts at 3, but they can get there earlier if they want.
They usually get there earlier?
They do, yes. I already had some. They're like, can we get out there at 10 a.m.? I'm like, that's fine. That just make sure to clean up after yourselves. And then, of course, the fireworks after the pep rally. That's always a big thing. The alumni, it will always provide. We didn't get to do that last year because there was a fire ban. So
you had everything last year.
Yeah, last year was something else. So this year we get to have the fireworks. So much better.
Jacqueline Clark's been our guest, Director of Student Engagement and Leadership, to talk homecoming. When we come back on Pokecast, we'll continue after this. From Mr. Bills, across campus from McNeese State University, and on 92.9 The Lake, Drew Fitzgerald is our guest for the one, brought to you by Mockler Beverage. The 4th segment is, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
All right, so it's not been the kind of year you wanted.
Nope.
Or expected. What's kind of happened? What's been I see it's been getting goals, it seems like, offensively.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think that's probably a pleasant way to describe it. Last year we statistically created very few chances and were incredibly efficient. This year we're actually creating plenty of chances, at least the last 4 games prior, and just not finding the back of the net enough, and then giving up sometimes silly things. Sometimes there've been some tough calls. A couple PKs have changed the course of the game that have been, at the very least, difficult calls. But I think we've got to find a way to find the back of that net. We're creating. We're out shooting some opponents, but more shots on goal than some opponents, but not putting it in.
So you have 3 matches left home, correct?
Yes. That's right.
The last one is Nichols on November 1st at 7 p.m., and that is senior night.
Yeah, that'll be our senior night. That's
and
right.
you're gonna honor 6 seniors. But before that, you got Stephen F., a new school in Stephen F. Austin. They're also second place right now. Some people think they're the best team actually in the conference. They're Saturday night, or no, they're tomorrow night.
They're tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Then Saturday it's HCU. What does Stephen F. do that's so interesting, and what have they brought to the conference?
Well, I think there's a few things they do. One is they have a lot of seniors on the team playing on the field. So I think they've got as many as 9 on the field at any given time. Obviously, that's nice to have. That's a luxury to have. They play with a lot of force, and then their front 6 are very creative. Back 4 are strong and solid, but the front 6 are really creative and dynamic.
So they're very offensive, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Is this you kind of switched in the middle of last year to a more defensive? Is this going to be the biggest test this year?
I think Commerce has done a really nice job. We played Commerce last weekend, and I think between the 2 of them, it's a really tough test. But Commerce is up at the top of the conference for a reason too. So I don't want to undersell what they've been able to do.
So this conference, how many teams make it to the tournament?
I think 3 of us are out and 8 are in.
And you're not one of the ones in.
We're going to be one of the 3 out, it looks like. I think numerically we're out as of the results on Sunday.
So what's it like now with the rest of the season to go without that? Because last year you were building towards that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It's uncharted territory for me. We've been in every year except the COVID, and we had the hurricane. That year was a weird spring season where the tournament was pared down. It was just a strange year to begin with. We've been in every year since then, so I've never really had this, especially this early. It's been interesting. I'll say the team has done a great job. We had a good practice tonight. They're still competing. They're still fighting. They still want to win games, so that's exciting. I mean, I think that's winning a battle right there because it is tough when you're used to playing for championships or competing and having a shot at it to not be in. It's tough.
Yeah,
it's
last year you're in the running right until the last weekend.
Right, that's right. So it's definitely a change of pace.
Does this kind of make you look at younger players and see some things, or how do you go about it? Because you're still placing the number 2 team. You want to give your best effort.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, and we've had a lot of internal discussion as you do when things are going on. But we're going to try to get some of the younger players on where we can. Certainly make an effort to do that. But like you said, we still want to win games. We don't want to end this season this way. We can find ways to win. We've been competitive in just about every match. We just have to find a way to win a game, and then maybe get a little momentum going into the next year, or at least can feel a little better about the season. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
And you want to give the seniors something to walk off with.
Yeah, I think they've done such a great job for us. Even this year, they've done a good job. We just haven't gotten the results. So to give them something positive to end on would be great.
Okay, so what's this like against this new conference? Completely different with the 2 new teams and some of the additions, but also how it's kind of played out because now you have longer travel, different travel on the road more. What's the first year been like?
It's been rough in some ways. I think the number of teams is nice. I think when we get schedules that are out before July and can plan them a little better, we'll do better. We've had some games we've played where teams had an extra night of rest over us. That's tough. It's a tough environment to go into. So the league's got to sort some of those things out. But I like what they've added. I think UTRGV is a good team. SFA is clearly very competitive. I think making the conference better is a good thing. We've just got to get back in the hunt.
Was it difficult to kind of plan out the year when you have that so late?
Well, there wasn't planning. It was just flying by. Look, we got it in late June was the schedule. So at that point you're trying to get ready for preseason because we start in late July and we got camps and stuff leading up to that. So it really was just planning probably isn't the right word for at least the travel portion of the season. It's just surviving.
So what do you want to see in the last three home games at least?
I want to we've got to continue to compete. I think that's the biggest thing is we've got to show a bit of heart and character and go out and compete. I think if we do that, I'm okay. Not okay with the result, but I'll live with whatever happens. But we've got to show that bit of character and commitment. And our team's done a great job of that through the years. This is a new challenge for us. We haven't been in this position. And so, sometimes it's a chance to build character and figure out who you are. So that's how we're looking at it. What can we learn from this?
Yeah, and does it also expose what you still need to go out to when you recruit now?
Yeah, I think that's
that
been
the
evident too. Like when you're not finding the back of the net, it's pretty clear what you need. We need somebody to find the back of that net for us.
Have you liked the style of the change, or does this make you wonder maybe you should go back, or you gonna stay with it?
No, I think the change had to happen. Like we actually played a few games playing the way we played last year, but when you're younger and you have different teams, I think I don't want to throw anybody under the bus on it. Freshmen can't do what the seniors did last year. I can't ask freshmen to sit there and absorb pressure for 90 minutes because it will crack. So we've had to change, and I think in a lot of ways it's been positive. Like I said, we last year you couldn't find an opponent we outshot. This year, 3 of the last 4 we've outshot, we've outcornered, we've had those or put shots on goal. Like we've had those opportunities. So we've created just enough. We haven't been great. I'm not pretending we've been great, but we've created enough. The results are almost. If you looked at just the stats, you'd say, "Oh, that's a team that's 500." But you look at the record. Obviously, we're not there. So I think it's okay. I think we have a chance to grow from it, and I think the players we have will continue to get better. The freshmen have contributed a lot. It's just in those crucial moments, sometimes the brain shut down, and we've got to get through that.
They are freshmen.
I know. Sometimes you forget it.
You have an interesting thing. You're going to face your former assistant coach.
Yeah, Nick Whiting's coming over to play, so that's exciting.
When do you see him?
We'll see them on Sunday at 1. And Nick and I talk, we talk less now that he's in the conference. We used to talk about every third day, so we talk still fairly frequently. He's a great guy. He's done a lot for this program. I'm excited for him to have the opportunity he has, and I'm excited to go play him.
But it's kind of a weird feeling when you play them, or
Well, we just got to win.
Is there bragging rights with that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's bragging rights. Now, both of us are pretty nice guys, so I'm not sure we'll rub it in each other's faces, but it'll always be there. So we gotta have a result.
So that's something you want your kids to get up for, then, at least.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll be excited.
And when you look at this year in general, you had a lot of high hopes.
Yeah.
How do you flip that into an understanding of what still needs to be done and not get lost in the fact that all the negative that you're now playing younger people that they've got to learn and you've got to take and you've got to test your patience?
Yeah, I mean, I think the patience has certainly been tested all season. I think for us it's taken that reflection time afterwards and really evaluating where we're at. Like I said, we look at the games afterwards, we look at some of the stats and think, okay, well, there's a lot we can do better, we have to do better, but also we're not that far. So we've just got to figure out a way to get a little bit better every day.
What are you going to take from this senior class as they leave?
Well, I just think they've given us so much. Morgan Schooley came in with the hurricane and stuck around for an extra year for us. Castlemarro's been amazing. Jackie Kelly's been one of the greatest keepers this program's ever seen. So I just think they've given so much, and we just have to find a way to celebrate that and be grateful that we've had that time with them.
And you want to give them a proper send-off.
Absolutely we do. We'd love to have people come out on when we play Nichols that Friday evening and send them off. They've given a lot to the community. They've given a lot to the program, and we definitely want to go out with a win.
And they've been through a lot.
They've definitely been through a lot.
Obviously, no group's been through as much.
No. I think this is kind of the last of that group that went through the hurricanes and COVID and everything. So this is the final graduation for that group. But yeah, they've been through a lot, and like I said, they've given a lot to this program, this community. So we'd like people to come out and support them.
And what about Jackie Kelly? What can you say about her?
Yeah, I mean, you can't say enough about her. Even this year, I think she's. This is not a great stat for us, but she's in the top 10 in saves in the country. She's done a great job. I think I saw one mistake from her this year that cost us a goal. It's been one mistake in 2.5 years that cost us. She's unreal. It's unreal what she's done for us. So, we're excited. We're hoping maybe she can go on and play professionally at some level, trying to get her to commit to doing that. So we're working on that now.
And obviously that would mean a lot for your program. And
yeah, Bree Odell went and played pro last year. We're hoping Jackie can do the same. We got a few players that have some opportunities, so we're excited about that.
Drew Fitzgerald's been our final guest here on the Pokecast. A couple of things to wrap up. They have 3 matches at home. 7 o'clock tomorrow night against Stephen F. Austin, who's number 2 in the conference and brand new to the conference, or back in the conference. HCU on Sunday at 1 p.m. And then on a week from Friday, they will play Nichols in the senior night finale of the home matches. So go out and support the 6 seniors that are leaving. Also, don't forget McNeese State basketball will be starting November 4th. They will play at South Dakota State, and that game can be watched here on a watch party at Mr. Bill's. Also, the watch party for Nichols State on Saturday at 3 p.m., so you can watch the game here if you can't get over to Nichols. Well, thank you for coming this week, and we'll see you next week, or in 2 weeks on the Pokecast.